Hi guys, if you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, thanks for giving us a shot. Feel free to check out any of my other videos, my reviews of Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett. I also have a Star Wars sequel fan remake, which gives you a completely different perspective on what the sequel trilogy could have been. It's not, of course, as flashy visually as the actual sequel trilogy, but it is a much superior story, some people feel. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. And let's get into this Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4. So it starts out with Kenobi on a hospital bed with his minimal burns, considering he was over an open flame for like a minute at least. Like he should have been burned. He's burned on one side, his arm, whatever. He's in a ship with a fake Imperial lady who saved him. And I think it's fitting that they show her, some guy, and the loader droid carrying him on a gurney in slow motion, as that was basically the speed the loader moved to get him out of there when he was in the fire in the previous episode, while Vader basically just stood, well, basically he did stand there and do nothing. So it's kind of funny that they opened with this slow motion thing. It's very ironic. It's funny. So Obi-Wan is grimacing like he's in, such super pain, but he had pretty minor burns compared to what would actually have happened in real life or what happened to Anakin. It's actually not that bad. He should have been, permanent burns on the face, the hands, everything in the OT. But of course, he doesn't. They have Ewan grimace to make it seem worse than it actually is, even though it makes no sense. So then cue the back to tanks. Of course, Disney's all about just back to tank shots constantly. They just love them. Hopefully, we get a whole bunch more, just like in the Book of Boba Fett, where it's just like back to tank every episode. Honestly, personally, the reason I like Star Wars from the beginning and got into it and waited for 18 hours in line to get tickets to episode 1 was because of back to tank. That's like Disney's so right. Like that was literally what I wanted to see was back to tank. So then they do this dream sequence where it shows Vader's burned arm, and then it's juxtaposed to Obi-Wan's burned arm. Except Vader's burned arm, of course, is half cut off. And then Obi-Wan wakes up, and he's just totally full of fear about Vader. Like maybe if he actually did his job and kept up with his training and remained strong to protect Luke, which was literally what he committed to do, and he's a pretty stand-up guy, or at least used to be, he wouldn't have gotten his ass kicked so bad. But then they have to have him weak because it's an easy fix writing wise to create a story that he has to overcome something. So just automatically make him weaker than he was before instead of making a more complex story. So cue Leia captive in the Inquisitor Playhouse. After Leia talks about her dad being a senator, Reva's like, the Empire doesn't look kindly upon Jedi sympathizers. Okay, so this is exactly what I've been saying all along, and Anakin knew full well Bail was a Jedi sympathizer. And the porn parody Inquisitor team was chasing after her down Main Street. They weren't hiding it. So I go back to my original points and all you people on Twitter. So again, the idea that for 10 years Vader would leave Bail be is nonsense. It's nonsense. Reva says we don't look kindly upon Jedi sympathizers. But Anakin knew, Vader knew Bail was one and never did nothing until 10 years later Reva does something insubordinate. It's dumb. It makes no sense. Reva tells Leia Obi-Wan is dead. Okay, then Obi-Wan pleads with some guy for help to get Leia. He reluctantly accepts. I don't remember who that was. He's connected to the fake Empire lady, the officer, fake Empire officer lady. Anyway, the guy reluctantly accepts. And side note, we are now in episode 4, and literally not a word about Luke. Just there's just nothing. There was one little scene with Obi-Wan arguing with Owen about training him, and that's it. So Obi-Wan doesn't send a transmission to Bail to make sure he's okay or anything. It's just all about Leia, and you never even see Bail again. Like, is he worried about his daughter? Like, did he send out guys? Like, he's got an army? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no flow. Like, Bail should have appeared by now at some point wondering what's going on, or he should have informed him. But no. And then Buddy says they got the location of the Inquisitor Playhouse while the Empire was building the grid. whatever that even means. So they built a grid, quote, so everyone would know where everything was, and then they deleted the stuff they didn't want people to see later. That's like someone thinking they can post something on the internet, and then when they go back and delete it, it's gone forever. Why couldn't the writers find a better explanation for why he has the location? Like Palpatine's not an idiot. Why would he release, quote, the grid that shows everything and then delete it after? It's just so stupid. But I know why the writers did this. It's because they're creatively bankrupt, and this is the quickest, easiest, laziest way to explain how they know where this place is so they can have the scenes in the Inquisitor Playhouse. Then Buddy says they have intel Vader isn't there, but is in his ship. Let me say that again. This guy says they have intel that Vader isn't there, but is in his ship. So he's not in the Inquisitor Playhouse, he's in his ship. What? What intel? And if you have intel on Vader's movements in real time, what the heck? Why haven't the rebellion used that info to do anything? It doesn't make any sense. Like, think about that. You have someone on the inside that's so deep that they know Vader's real-time movements, and they're sending that signal to you, and you never do anything about it. Guys, this is Bush League writing. It's terrible. So Obi-Wan says it looks like they don't have any shields. And then Buddy goes, that's because no one would be dumb enough to attack them. And again, what? You have real-time intel on Vader, and they have no shields. Like, what the... And the grid, I'm assuming, is from a long time ago, because now it's been, it doesn't exist anymore. So why didn't they use that intel? Why didn't they use this to deal with these people? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This isn't a rebellion. This is a Kershmeldon. They're a bunch of idiots. This is just so stupid. And again, no shields. Like, come on. An X-Wing squadron could zip over there and blow the crap out of it. Like, literally send, 30 X-Wings, just shoot the crap out of it. There's no shields. Wait till Vader's inside, because you've got intel on Vader, and just blow it up. It's so stupid. Then fake Imperial is going to try and get Obi-Wan into the Inquisitor Playhouse. Okay, so now they have this super hyper intel. They're going to go in there. So then we got to Obi-Wan and fake Imperial traveling together. Again, I can't remember her name. It's like Tira or something. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember, but Obi-Wan can barely move some little metal thing across the table with the Force. So Obi-Wan in Episode 4 is struggling to move a little metal thing across the table with the Force. Bruh, you caught Leia mid-air 2 days ago. She was falling to her death, and you caught her mid-air, and now you can't slide a little metal thing across the table with the Force. Again, this makes no sense. It's not believable. I don't think Obi-Wan's weaker than he was 2 days ago in the Force. It's stupid. Then Reva interrogates Leia about safe houses and where they are, and it's like, Reva, you're asking a 10-year-old. Maybe ask your dad. Did you ever think of that over the last 10 years? As I've been saying, I digress. Anyway, I think fake Imperial lady did talk about the path to some degree to Leia, but, the idea that Leia is going to have all the info Reva needs, like, this is a 10-year-old. Like, it's dumb. Then we're back at the Playhouse again, and then, so we were already at it, I guess it's later on, in another long shot of the Playhouse. And I think Disney Lucasfilm really thinks its design is the cat's ass. I mean, they just keep doing these shots of it. It's okay, but they sure love it. And then fake Imperial lands there. It's kind of a mess. There's guys everywhere. Like, I don't get the impression at all this was like a secret base for like Sith Inquisitors. And it's like, even Fallen Order, you got the sense that like it was quite secretive. Yes, there were stormtroopers and stuff. There was protective guards, but it wasn't like this. Like, literally officers and ships and stuff just everywhere. Like, there's thousands of people probably in this thing. Like, this is like a spaceport. Not at all what I expected. I thought it was like a secret base for Sith and Force-sensitive Darksiders. and you know, and of course they had some stormtroopers protecting and stuff. Basically, what they had in Fallen Order, but in this, it's just insane. Like there's just people everywhere, and there's like it's like a melee. Um, there must be like 1,000 randoms at this place, and what are they all these people here for anyway? This is like a specific task force that goes out and hunts Jedi. What are all these like bazillion guys everywhere, like in officers and stuff? What are they there to do? Anyway, and then I gotta throw in a nitpick. Uh, what's her name goes in the one that's posing as an Imperial officer and never goes down an elevator or anything, and yet is below sea level, despite the docking bay being hundreds of feet over sea level. It's just kind of cheese. Like they didn't really like make it cool. Like she's going down. Da, da. Anyway, she's asked for her ID from some security Empire guy, and she gives it, and then she tells the security to back off. She's a commanding officer, even though he says this isn't your sector. And anyway, so she's in now, and she's trying to help Obi-Wan get in, and he's swimming towards the playhouse. And she gets him in by opening a door for him through the computer, the terminal she's sitting at. And then he gets in, and it's back to Reva, who is now trying to read Leia's mind. It's like, why didn't she just do this right away? What were you waiting for? Who knows? And you get the impression Leia resists, you know, as Reva tells her she's strong. Like, she tries to read her mind, and she's like, you're strong. It's like, did Leia just resist a mind read as a 10-year-old who doesn't know anything, like hasn't been trained in the Force? Like that if that's the case, like I don't know, you guys tell me how you read that, but if that's the case, that's ridiculous. Then Leia lets her droid loose on Reva. Not sure how they didn't search her or anything, but whatever. And Reva grabs it and talks about having a droid as a kid, and it was taken from her. I guess that's why they didn't search Leia and take it, so they could have some quasi fake connection. Then fake Empire lady gets caught looking through stuff in the computer by another officer, and he gets her to come with him, leaving Obi-Wan to fend for himself. And he's sneaking around for where Leia is, and then it shows Tala. That's her name, Tala. The fake officer snapped the other guy's neck, the other officer's neck, and then just go back to the computer. So that was inconsequential. He thought, oh, she's getting taken away. No, she snaps the neck. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, Rey killed Chewie. No, he's alive. Then Leia refuses to give info and is taken away for pain. Torture, I guess. And they throw Leia onto a torture chair and she's screaming for help. There's no muzzle or anything. Like, I'm not sure why. Like, why would you have this little girl screaming throughout the corridors of your playhouse, your Inquisitor playhouse? It's like, it's just so makes no sense. But whatever. And then Obi-Wan comes across some weird hallway with bodies and tanks, and it's of course the Jedi, some of the Jedis that they've killed. And then he sees a kid from the temple, and I'm like, really? Like, really? Like, Palpatine made sure to keep a temple boy body for his little hallway. Is it his, or is it Anakin's? Is it Anakin's little hallway of horrors, and he kept a little temple boy? And he's not even wounded. Like, there's nothing. Like, like, it's nostalgic bull crap. And then Obi-Wan hears Leia screaming, of course, because they didn't muzzle her like any other normal criminal or oppressive regime would do. And then he asks Tala to create a distraction, and she requests to see Reva, and it's urgent, just before Reva is going to start torturing Leia, of course. And then while she's gone, Obi-Wan shuts out the lights and deals with the stormtroopers, and he takes Leia. Reva sees through Tala's story about the Jedi tunnel or whatever, and finds it weird Obi-Wan and Leia escaped through her checkpoint. So now she's in trouble. Tala's in trouble, I should say. And then Obi-Wan gets caught by a droid. It identifies him, I guess, or whatever, and starts beeping in the alarm sound. And then Reva sends Tala to interrogation. And right as she does that, the alarm sounds. And so Reva leaves, and Tala takes out the two stormtroopers unarmed and then runs. So I don't know, she like beats the crap out of them or whatever. And then Obi-Wan running, like, let's make like as bad as I just wanted to say, as bad as the stormtroopers were in original Star Wars, like Disney's taken them to the extreme. Like in Mando, I mean, they're Wile E. Coyote. I mean, it's a joke. But anyways, Obi-Wan running through the same halls as Cal from First Order, taking out stormtroopers and droids, which was kind of cool, except in the context of the plot of this show. Like, I kind of like that they kind of had stuff from Fallen Order, but like in the context of this show, with how bad it is, like, I don't care. And then right as Obi-Wan is trying to smuggle Leia out of the front door, porn parody Inquisitor shows up. And I gotta say, the idea that an Empire base crawling with stormtroopers and officers wouldn't notice this is, well, just utterly absurd. Like, this is beyond Bush League. Like, this is terrible. Tala is an Imperial officer officially, and she's being, put through the ringer to get in, and Obi-Wan's walking out looking like a bad Charlie Chaplin, or like a bad Three Stooges scene where like they're hiding somebody. It's dumb, and I don't know how people don't see it. And then Q Reva running up from behind with a bunch of dudes. And right then, of course, Rebel ships show up and blow up the place and literally fly like so close you think they're gonna crash into it, and then they just cut to another shot, and you never know whether or not these snow speeders actually hit it or not, even though they should have ran right into it. It makes no sense. Reva blocks a blaster from the ship with her saber, which is a little much in my opinion. Like it's one thing to block a blaster from like a stormtrooper or like a guy, but when we start blocking blasters from ships with lightsabers, I mean, there needs to be limits on what a lightsaber can block, or it just becomes almost comical. It's like if you know how to wield a lightsaber, like you can't get shot at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's one thing to be like, oh, it's going to be really, really difficult for a stormtrooper to hit you. But it's another thing to be like, well, it's going to be almost impossible for you to get killed by anything because you can block, like, blasters from ships. It's a little much. And then one of the two snow speeders escapes without being followed with Obi-Wan on it. Like, I just want you guys to know, like, when Tala arrives at the big, like, basically spaceport, up above in the ceiling, there's like a pile of TIE fighters up in there. Like, this place is crawling with Imperial ships and Imperial officers and guys. And literally, no one does anything as the snow speeder with Obi-Wan and Leia just leaves. They all just stand there. No TIE fighters were sent out, nothing. And this place is crawling with people. Totally ridiculous. Vader, he walks in like he's about to flip his lid. Like, he walks all fast. He's like freaking out into this room with Reva in it. Very un-Vader like, very non-officer disciplined Vader like. He's running around like a kid who's mad. Like, oh wait, who's running around like Kylo Ren. They're turning Vader into Kylo Ren basically. And I know Anakin was emotional and stuff, but by the time you're 10, like, this is Darth Vader. And he's a commanding menace. He's not like running around like Kylo Ren, being emotional. So anyway, but whatever. He chokes Reva, and just before she's about to die, she's manages to utter something, and then he lets her go, and she says she put a tracker on the ship. I didn't see her do that. So I don't know if she's lying to Vader, but Vader accepts this. In my opinion, actual Vader, based on his character in the OT, would have been like, why weren't they just pursued by my platoon of TIE fighters, Reva? Why didn't you command them to just follow them? Idiot. Choke, you're dead. Right? That to me is how Vader would have handled it. But this new Vader that's not actually Vader handles it by just saying, cool, man, you put a tracker, so now that's great. So anyway, they get away. Leia holds Obi-Wan's hand, and, this is that guy that her dad knows from fighting in the Clone Wars. Remember in the signal, or in the thing she put in R2? It's this random guy that her dad knew from the Clone Wars, that she heard about and knew was a Jedi, but never knew. And she's holding his hand after he rescues her. It's not the guy, it's the guy her dad knew, not the guy she has a deep connection with now. Then at the end, it insinuates Reva put the tracker into Leia's droid. And again, it's just like, you guys could have just followed them. This is so dumb. There's no stakes, there's no tension, there's no excitement. Nothing makes sense. This show blows. I'm just shocked that these guys actually thought that the majority of people would accept this nonsense and not just look at it and be like, wait a minute, why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? Terrible. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like I said, like and subscribe. Have a good day.